All right, welcome to Fire Your Boss Fridays, everyone. Good to see you again. Fridays always have a good energy. Today is a very unique day because to me, this is the second episode of season 2. Why? Because we made a major shift, right? The last episode was kind of our push. And now we're like, hey, we're going to do it. We want to do this thing. So we committed, right? And commitment's a big part of every entrepreneur journey. But we felt like that was kind of just the push off. But what we want to talk about today is not just the side hustle or affiliate marketing or some of the other things that you discussed.
Well, so many people talk about all the different things that you can do. So if you're looking online and even what we've talked about historically is like, start affiliate marketing, start doing digital products, start a blog, all these different online side hustles. But
they're endless, yeah.
But what I want to address and tackle today is, what if you're like busy and you're overworked, you're overwhelmed, you've got a zillion things going on in your life, and you're like, how in the hell do I actually find the time, money, resources,
mental energy, because you're just drained,
to even start a side hustle?
Okay, cool. This is going to be a big part of what I do, and I've been focusing on this for quite a while. So I'm super happy that we're bringing that up. And I like this dialogue. And so I like the fact that we can actually talk about it. It sounds casual. There's no major scripting going on here. Do we have a topic? Yes. So this topic is, to break it down for the listeners, is specifically what happens before you do your side hustle or even launch your business, right? And you might have lost your job and you have a lot more time, right? But you don't have resources still, right? So there's going to be some of that we're going to go into. So let's dive into that first. What's some of the things you want to touch on first? I noticed in some of the notes you put like from A to B, right?
Yeah, so
describe A. What's A?
Well, I think the first thing is, let's describe point A and point B, and why does someone want to go from point A to point B?
Okay, so why? Why is the first part of this equation, right? Is that what you want to go into first?
Yeah, well, so let's start off with, what is point A?
Right, that's what I was hoping to hit, yeah.
Yeah.
Point A is you've decided what you have currently isn't enough, right?
Right.
You're enough and you're fine and everything's cool, because then you won't even have these thoughts.
Right.
But somewhere in you're like, I want more or something different, or I'm doing now.
You have a lack of fulfillment, or, you might think, oh, I need more time to spend with my kids, or I want to be able to travel, or
if you're having these thoughts,
or maybe it's just as simple as like, I want to make more money.
So if you're there, okay.
That's point A.
That's point A, okay. And then we want to go into like, well, why you want to leave specifically, right? Like, is it that that if you stay where you're at now, it's fine, but it won't get you to your point B. You know that. Like, you could stay there for 15, 20 years, whatever it is. And this is mostly about income right now, right? This is what we're talking about. But that income then gives you other resources or other assets.
I wouldn't say it's mostly about income, because for some people it's, mostly about the time.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Or fulfillment, like you feel like you're serving a community or whatever the thing is that you feel like you're doing, or you're having fun at work.
Right.
I mean, when you're having fun at work, and I've actually had fun at work, working really hard too, physically in the sun, and I've had a good time doing it. It just depends who you're around, environment, what you're trying to accomplish. So, okay, so the why can be anything like that. So we got the what, which is you're having these thoughts. You want something better or different. The why is going to be for you guys to decide. So Lisa and I have found it, right? We have our whys, and we've definitely spent a lot of time. And even some we thought were real and they weren't real. And like, you got to play with it. This doesn't happen overnight, and it's ever evolving. In a month from now, it could have some different whys, right? So give me an example of like, when you say resources or like the how, right? So how do people get there? But there's something holding people back.
Yes. Well, I think we need to back up first. And,
all right, let's back up.
We can totally talk about point B.
Point B. All right. Yeah, let's do it. So for point B, for listeners, maybe give them an example. What's point B for you?
That's a lot of things.
It's a lot, right? So take notes.
Being able to travel freely, spending time with the kids, grandkids, having plentiful money to do these things.
Right. Not saying, oh, we can't afford that thing, right? Like, you're not looking, you don't want a yacht, right?
Right.
You don't want to even manage a yacht or even worry about it or even pick one out. But what you want is just like time freedom, flexibility, and then to be able to have the mental resources or energy to like do those things, right? Because let's just say you had the money, but you worked really hard to get it. Now you're totally drained and you don't even enjoy the thing you're doing with your family, your grandkids, right? You're just wiped out.
Right.
So there is going to be a balance in there as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So for you, B is that, and for me, it's really similar, right? But everyone has to kind of, is there any tricks? Like, how did you come to yours? Like, how did you come to your thing?
Well, I think that's kind of what we're going to dive into in a little bit.
Okay. Should B be a big thing? Or could it be small? I mean,
it can be whatever you want.
Well, but remember, I said this before, is like, maybe it should be something worth dying for, or if it's too hard, you just will quit, right? It has to be something pretty big, right? So your point B should be not like, you can have these small things, but how hard are you really going to fight for it, right? Because it's going to be hard work. You're transitioning from a point of like, you're totally stretched and what we call like survival mode. And we can get into that in a minute, but that's like where your mind literally physiologically is not functioning in a thought process that is like into the future. You're just thinking about right now, solving right now problems. So you're making decisions based on like emergencies in the now moment versus like planning for the future. So that's where people are stuck, right? And there's all these stuck things. And I talk about it a lot, that it usually comes down to time, money, and mental energy. Those are the three assets that you're like kind of trying to figure out. So if you feel like you don't have the time, but you do have some resources and money, like maybe equity in your home, whatever the thing is, but you don't have the mental energy too, because it's just, you're wiped out at the end of the day. So then where you kind of need to start working on, right? And like scaling back or reorganizing or being more efficient at what you do. So you mentioned before that many of us find ourselves stressed out. I remember I would get up before you, leave and go to work and come home, literally call you and like just come home, eat dinner, and then like watch a little bit of TV, go to bed. Like that was it. I couldn't really do anything else. This is when I was a contractor, right? And for me, I was like, well, how do I do anything as a side hustle? And for a while I was doing music. So at that point, then I would just leave the house.
Right.
And then, that was my side hustle. And so, I know what it takes, but you got to really have to want that thing. But you're saying, a side hustle can unlock opportunities. So once you start the side hustle, it can maybe compound, right?
Right. Well, you have to think of it as, you start a side hustle, not because you have plenty of money. You start it because you don't.
Right.
And so that's, I think, a hard hurdle to overcome.
Right.
Because you do need some money typically to start something.
Right. Something. Yeah. Most of the time. A lot of people say online, you don't need anything, but yeah.
You've got to have some resources or, but the basics.
Can you leverage your sweat equity to the nil? Yeah, of course. But then usually when you're doing sweat equity, it's usually you're trading a lot of sweat equity versus you could maybe pay to have something done much easier. Right. So there's a big trade-off there. Okay. All right. So the first step to evaluating your current lifestyle, okay, you have to look at where you're at. And you can't bullshit yourself, guys. As soon as you bullshit yourself, you've already lost. But you need to downsize your expenses. You need to declutter your lives. You need to organize and prioritize to create financial freedom. But financial freedom is time freedom, money freedom, and mental freedom. Okay. Those are your assets that we're working with on all accounts. So consider that. Whenever you're thinking about what it is that's in front of you, is that stealing? We've talked about this before, steal back your life, right? Or steal your life back is like, what is taking those things from you, right? And we need to work on that and help manage your time properly and your money and your mental energy. Okay. So if we're going to do that though, there's going to be some sacrifices, but how do we come up with that? And I've said this before in some other.
I think people need to sit down and, build lists basically. And these processes are all things that we're working on in our new ebook that's going to be coming out. So we're going to be giving you, some more details on how to actually get to this point. It's going to walk you through, practical steps and tips, right, to get people from ready to start the side hustle.
Right.
And so, I think downsizing expenses is a huge one. looking over, like, what are you spending? Typically, there's always, places where people can eliminate or save, reallocate basically, like, funds. So like, are you going to Starbucks every day? Maybe you can start making coffee at home. And I think there's actually a book about
that's the classic. Yeah.
The latte factor, right? So, just cutting out the things that are like, well,
and this isn't permanent. Keep in mind, the latte factor is not like you'll never drink Starbucks again.
Not everybody wants a latte factor. So that's the point of getting to point B.
Right.
Is to, have the latte factor, I think.
Right. So it's about making massive sacrifice right away. So that it's just a quicker route. Right. We talked about this so many times. I mean, this is essentially our dialogue on almost all conversations. So to share it here on the podcast is pretty, I feel like we're, rehashing so much, but here's how I look at it. And this is really, I'm going to give you the golden nugget right now, but I look at it like this. You find your B. Okay. You identify that goal. Okay. And it doesn't have to be hyper specific, but it has to be kind of clear. Okay. Because now it's going to help you not be indecisive. Because let's just say it's like, oh, well, do we need these microphones anymore? These are $300 microphones. Do we need them? Well, if I have a goal of generating podcasts and doing videos, okay, I need these. That's towards my goal. It's an easy decision. But if there's something else in my house that isn't aligning with that thing, well then, and it's taking my time, money, and mental energy, then that's got to go. Right. So that's how you measure it. That's like really the major hack in the whole system. And it's really the biggest golden nugget is now you can make decisions. You don't have to wonder, well, I don't know. You should know if that's going to help you get there or hold you back. Okay, cool. All right. So we've laid that out. So our listeners, now that they're aware of this,
we brought up decluttering your life too. And I think, a lot of people are like, well, what exactly does that mean? But looking at, where are you spending your time? Are you spending too much time on social media? Are you maybe going over to your buddy's house, playing a game of golf? And again, it kind of goes back to like the whole microphone thing. Like, is playing golf going to get you to your goal? Is, if your goal is like to build a golf blog, then maybe you should still do the golf, right?
Absolutely. But right.
If it's just a casual game of golf with your buddy, every day after work.
You might need to scale that back so that you can get to the goal and then you can revisit that again, because the goal is to get out of the rut, right? And then you got to get into another class of financial position, right? And we all know that with the recession and all the inflation and everything that's going on, this is crystal clear. Stuff's more expensive. The average income needs to go up. And if you're making the same hourly that you were 3 years ago, if you're not basically doubling that right now, then you're in trouble, and you're basically just going to trickle down into the lower class citizens, because it used to be like $70-some thousand. It's well over $100,000 now to equal the same amount of financial flexibility. So you've got to be
middle class.
Yes, to be even lower middle class. We're talking $150,000 now, and I think I just heard that statistic the other day. So that number has went from like 70 to 75,000 the way I had originally remembered it, and it is skyrocketed to almost double, if not more. And I don't know where it's going to end. So that means with that real number and those real factors, you need to make a change. If your company's not buying into it and paying you more, well, that's not their responsibility to do math for your life. Like, you need to figure out, hey, we need to go up or we're just going to sink, right? And so you don't want to get caught in that. Just slowly slip into debt and then end up in bankruptcy. So there's a lot of moving parts to this. Clearly, this is just one part of it, but it is always the preparation, right? What are you willing to do? Because I call it the backpack story, and I've said this before, right? If you're going on a hike to plan B or to your B destination, okay, do you want to pack everything in your house in a U-Haul and try to drive it to this destination? Or do you think it'd be more efficient to just load up a backpack with the things that you need, the essentials to get you there? That's going to be the fastest, most efficient route, okay? And I say this a lot too, is the same thing is, like, when you get there to this B, there's a good chance all the things you had before are really not what you wanted anyway. Because if they were, you'd be fine where you are. Right. So the reality is the life and the things that you have now are not really what you're going to have. If you double your income, there's a good chance you're not going to have the same couch I use that example. You're going to have a different wardrobe. You probably have different sunglasses, probably going to wear different shoes, right? If you double your income, the car you drive might change, right? So it's like, just let the life go. Let the things go. Those things are part of your current income strategy or your current income potential. We've got to just let that go. And if you're brave enough to like, boom, total fucking reset and just like let it all go, keep the essentials, okay? 4 forks, 4 spoons, whatever, which we've done. And I know it works because we did it. And so, and we're able to accomplish a lot. Now, on the flip side of that, we did start accumulating more things and buying more things. And I bought another motorcycle, and like we bought 2 cars. And for a long time we had 1 car because we didn't need to. And now we're back down to 1 car. Why? We're like scaling back because we want to make another push. It's like a wave, right? You coming out and then you downsize and you recalibrate for your new future, because our future is different than it was 5 years ago. We had a different outlook. Now we have this new goal. So we're like, okay, reorganizing, get rid of this stuff. We're not going to need it to get to, this next level. And we're going to make this push. And, I believe in us. I believe in you. And I believe in what we're doing. And hopefully you guys want to join us on this journey. I mean, we're hopefully going to take you on that journey with us. As long as you're here to watch. We're in our first month of launching our all-in affiliate marketing, right? So although we've been doing it before in the past casually, it's been a side hustle for us. We've decided we're going all in on this. Right.
Turn our side hustle full time.
Yeah. So, and you're leading and paving the way, right? Like I'm still holding down the fort in other ways, but you're forging that path. So you're going all in on this, which is totally awesome. And maybe that will work for you guys too. So to help balance it out. All right, cool. So we're on this journey. 2nd month, basically tomorrow or this week, because we launched last month. And so we're going for it. All right. So we're going to keep you up to date on that, by the way. What's next here at this point? I mean, I went into my dialogue about efficiency, about, I went on a major tangent because that's my thing, not the tangent part, but this thing we're talking about, these 3 main assets, time, money, mental energy. This is something I go into all the time.
Well, I think just, kind of talking a little bit more about the financial side of things, if someone is thinking of starting a side hustle and, and they're like, well, I just don't have the money to start a side hustle. And I think, we kind of touched on a lot of these already, but, the bootstrapping, you had talked about doing things yourself, but, just throwing out some other ideas there, such as, using credit card, taking out a small business loan. Some people say borrow it from your family, which I say no way.
You say no way, yeah. Do what you will, but...
Be careful. Tread lightly if you do that one.
Now, credit cards, you say credit cards, okay? This is different than I think what most people think of, okay? So you're saying more like in the vein of like, and you guys can look this up, like a credit stacking situation, which is where like you specifically get no interest credit cards for 12, 24 months. You don't just get any credit card, and you don't go just using the cards that you have now, okay? Because that's what we call bad debt, right? You don't want to just go into debt and have these huge payments that you can't recover from. But you're talking about, okay, go out, start a LLC, start building your business.
Do it strategically, yes.
Do it strategically. And
do your research. And
there is a science to this, am I right?
Yeah. Cards,
okay.
That are 0% interest.
Right. And we have done this. Same thing. And then we went through our first cycle of 12 months, and then we went and applied for some more, and then transferred balances, remaining balances that we still had to buy us a little bit more time. Now, this can get out of hand. Don't get me wrong. We're certainly like, we hit a threshold. We're like, okay, we need to like make sure things are moving in the right direction.
Right.
But with some discipline and, make sure that what you're buying creates a return, or at least helping you get to that return. Right. And so for us, the world is a little bit different. And we ran into this. It's like we used to be able to we built multiple businesses from sweat equity, basically almost nothing. But they were service-based, which is a lot of just serve the particular deliverable and then build the business with sweat equity. That's fine. But in the model that we're doing now with affiliate marketing and we're building, you have to kind of build a small business or a following first. And that takes time, energy, but sometimes money, right, to build digital assets or whatever it is you're doing. But to go from like, if you're making 6 figures now, or even maybe you're not, but let's say you are, and like where we were, but we're like, how do we go to 7 figures? Okay. You're not going to get to 7 figures with sweat equity. well, we couldn't. So we're finding that the amount of capital to invest is going to be 6 figures, more than likely minimum, to get you to help you build a business that has a 7-figure potential. And that was a big eye opener for us. I remember driving to get coffee one morning and I'm like, you know what? We can't be so hard on ourselves that we've spent this much money, because we're going for 7 figures. We're not going for 6 figures again. So if you spend $100,000, right, to make, that 7-figure income, that's a great ROI, but more than likely it's going to be a little bit more than that, right? If not a lot more.
Yeah.
But then once the business is done, the following year with no capital investment, recoup your debt, boom. So we're shooting for the stars. And if you're just shooting for 6 figures and a little bit of time freedom, you're going to be into it. You're going to have to spend a few $1,000s. So you're going to have to be into this probably $25K roughly to really get something off of the ground. Cool. Anyway, I wanted to share that story with you guys because I think it's really important to hear what we're going through and the struggles that we're facing immediately and how we're dealing with them and how that applies to everything that we talk about too. Live and breathe, obviously what we're talking about. So we're getting close to the end of the time here.
Yeah, real quickly, I want to just touch on another topic, which I feel is very important in the whole, side hustle world and getting from point A to point B. And that is choosing something that aligns with you and that gives you purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And there's arguments about this. There's many people.
This is the debate. Some people say just go work.
Just go after the money. I think Mark Cuban's one of them that's like, absolutely don't pursue your passion. Just go where the money is.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe, and this works for me, maybe some people can get away with just going after the money. But I feel like if you keep chasing that and you keep doing that, you're still going to always continue to want more and continue to try to get to point B and C and D and E.
Tell me if I'm wrong here.
It's a never-ending thing. So I think if you do really put some thought into it and do something that is your purpose and your passion, it might be the end game. It might be point Z.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. No, I love that you brought that up. I think it's a very powerful thing, and it becomes the debate. This will happen in your mind, everyone. Okay. You're going to be like, money, thing I want to do.
Yeah.
Right. And that brings me joy. Okay. Well, that won't make me that much money. Okay. Well, first of all, you might be wrong. It might bring you more money than you think. Right.
Well, it does have to be like something that does make you money. If it's, you've got some passion that absolutely no one cares about.
Sure. But even writing never used to be, people didn't look at you if you said, oh, I'm a writer. Mm-hmm. They would never say, oh, well, you must be rich.
Yeah.
But nowadays there's multi-million-dollar writers that just blog on the internet.
Right.
Okay. So, and this is not professional writing by any means. You've read blogs. You said how is this? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So, but I'm just setting the precedence, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's another element of this is that, and we've talked about this, and I want to share this as part of our journey. We've come to this conclusion, and it might be more me than Lisa, but I'm like, listen, if we're going to do something and we're going to put all this time and energy into it, and we're going to give up a lot and make these huge sacrifices that we're talking about to achieve said thing, number one, it might fail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if it does, I want to have fun along the way.
Yeah.
I want to enjoy the journey to the failure and then maybe grow from there. But I don't want to be miserable and suffering and struggling and hating everything you're doing and then get there and it fails.
Yeah.
Now you don't get any of that time and you don't get the thing you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think if you want a safety net, people, the safety net of just thinking, telling the story around a campfire, I gave my whole life to blank, 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 but it was a pretty good ride, man. We had some cool people, whatever the thing is, try to have some fun with it. Try to do something that really kind of does bring something to you. And then if you do win, have your cake and eat it too, guys. I don't know what else to tell you, but that's where we're at, right? Because we're at a point where we're choosing what we want to do. We're not backed into a corner oh, you have to blank. You have to just this, because this is the only way we can generate income. And so, and I hope everyone gets to that place, I think. And I know it's possible. We've seen a lot of things happen that are that were way beyond what I was even thought was possible.
Mm-hmm.
And the world is changing and the internet is the biggest audience in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I used to perform sing like at clubs and think, oh, there's 200-300 people here. This is great. They're all hearing my music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we play venues with 3,000. I thought, oh, my mind, like, look at all these people. It's like, oh man,
Mm-hmm.
But you can get 3,000 people watching your stuff on the internet like that.
Right.
I mean, the old days of getting in front of people, I mean, is gone. Like, you can get in front of people, and this changes the whole dynamic. An idea you had 15 years ago that you thought, oh, I'd never get that in front of enough people. Okay, well, now you can. You can just whittle wood on the internet and film it, and people watch you,
Mm-hmm.
and you can make money from it. And you're doing that thing. Maybe you're keeping your main job, but I think what we're talking about is creating the time and energy to start to make that happen. When you're stretched, you're in survival mode, and you're making decisions based on emergencies, and
Mm-hmm.
you just want to get out of that. You've got to escape that hamster
rat
wheel.
race,
Yeah,
yeah.
the hamster wheel, the rat race, all that. So
Right.
cool. I hope this was a cool episode. We're changing the tone, guys. Lisa and I are trying to connect a little bit more in like a conversational type piece. It's not the interview style that we were doing before in season 1.
We're still doing some interviews this season, though.
Yeah, we're going to do some interviews according to Lisa, and maybe I won't be a part of them. I don't know. But I hope you're liking the new dialogue, and we're going to try and what we're really trying to do is capture our normal kind of conversations that we have about certain topics. And hopefully you guys like it and you want to be a part of it and follow us on our journey. We're going to be candid with as much as we can. I want you to know this is, again, our month 1, 100% all in. We want to prove that it can be done, and then you guys can follow suit and go for it yourselves. So
Yes.
Cool. Well, thanks for sticking around, everybody, and hanging out with Lisa and I. Again, my name's Chad. This is Lisa. You can follow us online
We're going to
wherever.
include a link for our new guide that will be coming out. Actually, if this posts tomorrow, it won't quite be ready, but you can still sign up for it.
Mhm.
It'll get updated once it's
And then we'll get it to them. So what was it that we're giving them? I know you're working on this ebook, and I remember we kind of got it started. So what's the takeaway? What's the...
Well, everything we talked about today. Like,
Oh, okay. So you're concentrating all of like these tips and tricks and like kind of what you would call the how,
yes.
right? That's what you're calling this. Okay. Do you have a name for this ebook, please? I don't know. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen this ebook, guys. I have no idea. Lisa's the writer, by the way.
Well, so the ebook is actually just going to have, tips and tricks and ways to get yourself ready and prepared to start a side hustle.
Okay.
So, which is what this podcast was about.
Sweet. Love it. That's solid. Cool. Well, I think hopefully you guys like it. If you don't, burn it publicly on the internet and tell us all about it. But I think from what I know and the things that we talk about all the time and the things that we're doing, Lisa's going to put together a pretty cool ebook for you guys. So check it out. Link below.